I knew I wanted to be a stand-up comedian since I was 9 years old, but I was very observant and I knew not to tell anybody. So I was just funny, and every time I would make people laugh, I was thinking to myself, I'm comedianing right now. Like I didn't even know what it was called. I just I'm killing it. And so so early on, I feel like I manifested that, but I didn't know that that's what I was doing. So then when I was 19, my summer after my freshman year at Notre Dame, I worked a summer at the Department of Energy in Washington, D.C., and I just used to make everybody laugh, basically. And this one big dude came up to me who I was making fun of, and he was like, "Yo, you funny." And I was like, "Oh, talking about the fight at work, son? Like, for real?" And he was like, I'm taking you to a comedy club. You ever heard of open mic night? And I was like, nah, but I want to go. And so he made me pick him up and took me. He's like, he ain't take me. He was just like, turn left, turn right. So we went to Greenbelt Comedy Connection. And it was my first time. I didn't even know that kind of thing existed. And outside was a huge picture of Dave Chappelle and a huge picture of because they were. Wow. I'd watched and then a couple of weeks later, I'd seen Chappelle perform in that same club, and I watched him bomb. It was crazy. I was like, oh, shit. And he walked and he sat next to me, and I was like, oh, he's still here. But he was riding with another guy named Tony Woods who went on after him and destroyed. So I go to this open mic. It was a black comedy club, so it was supposed to start at 8, but it didn't start 9, 10. Of course. So I was there nervous, and I didn't get called during that time. But I was there and I signed up, and the guy never called my name, so I had to watch the whole show. But I didn't quit. I don't know if that's the Notre Dame or whatever, or if it's just me, but I kind of took it personally, which I probably shouldn't have. So I came back the next week and signed my name up on several of the lines available. Still didn't call me. So I go up to the guy afterwards. His name is Chris Paul, fantastic comedian. I said, "Hey man, I came here the last 2 weeks and you never called my name." He goes, "Oh, I just didn't know you. Come back next week." And that was my first lesson in show business. I just didn't know you. Wow. Wow. So I come back, and then he called me up first because he didn't know if I was funny. And so I got some laughs. And when I got off stage, everyone was so supportive. And it was the first time in my neighborhood where I grew up where a bunch of black men were super supportive about something that didn't have to do with women or basketball. We were talking we were talking about crafting a joke and subject matter and performance, and it was this conversation with people from different walks of life that I just was I go, this is home. And the guy who closed out that night, I went to middle school with. His name is Mike Brooks, and he showed me around that summer. So that summer I got paid my first amount of money, because I was I just want to get paid. If I get paid, I'm a professional. And this dude gave me crumbled up $25. I'm a professional comedian. So I came back to Notre Dame arrogant AF because I had just performed. I felt in Washington, D.C. in some of the hardest environments. We did cabarets with people not even facing the stage. Yeah. It's black folks eating crab legs, looking at you and so when I came back to Notre Dame, I had this hunger to want to perform more, and so I did Black Images that year, and I still didn't know anything, which was the best way to perform. So I did Black Images. I broke 2 microphones and all this stuff, but the students gave me a standing ovation. It was so encouraging, and then a comedy club opened in South Bend. So that summer I went to summer school and got a job as a bouncer at that comedy club, and ended up becoming the house MC. So in doing that, I would seat the people, and then I would be the host, and I got to watch all these touring comedians come through from all different walks of life. Yeah. And then it would be it was 4 big black comedians that would come through, and I got to open for them. It was Cedric the Entertainer, Jamie Foxx, Hughley.
In South Bend?
Mm-hmm. They all came through.
Was it the Funny Bone?
Yeah, the Funny Bone, South Bend.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And that was so it was at that time, I noticed when they came through, the club owner would double the price of everything, increase the drinks. There would be a police presence, and they were making the place so expensive. In South Bend, the meat, like it was like a crazy like economic. I was like, this is just wrong. But I got to see the black community in South Bend. I got to make them laugh. It was like a fun, it was just this great thing for me, and I knew that I was going to do this, but I wasn't telling my mom. And then, but I believe if you make a choice and you decide to do something, it'll work out. And like Christine said, like being measured, like I had kind of done the math, like, okay, I know this isn't going to land well. So how can I set this up the best way for me to win? And that's what I mean. Like you kind of learn at Notre Dame. Notre Dame is kind of funny. It was like, they kind of give you all your no's. Like, it's like, these are all the ways you're going to say no. And then you can get mad or you can go, all right, let me figure out how I'm going to. And that never stops. Like right now in the current climate that we're in, those no's like never stop. It's like, and the more you spend time on Earth, it's kind of like, oh, I've seen this before. I know what y'all trying to do. Y'all just want to see if I'm and I just try to have fun with it because the no's are coming and you just try to make yourself undeniable so where you can just kind of like, all right.
So Christine, I was on a master class with her and her husband with USC not long ago. And one of the students had asked about mentors or mentorship. And Christine, you said something that was so profound. And ever since you said that, it stuck with me. But for people who are looking for mentors, could you sort of, give us like a synopsis of what you said about mentorship?
As you are climbing up in the industry, and sometimes if you have one or two successes, people look at you like, yeah, you made it, right, Owen? But they don't understand. we still in the struggle and climbing. So I think what I try to convey to people is this. People have a lot of people pulling at them, So the best way that you can really get the most out of a mentor is not to ask them like what they can do for you, but be in service to them. Is there anything that I can do for you? And then just be really authentic about it, not in order to get something, but just in service to others. And then what will happen over time is this, because I've had people do it like, is there anything that you need? And it's weird accepting gifts from others. Or it's just weird for me because I'm just a go-getter and I just do everything by myself. But what I've found is like the people who have offered to do some things that have been helpful to me over time, what happens is I'm like, well, that's really generous of you, now. What is it that I can do for you? But it comes out of a relationship. This whole industry is predicated on relationship. You don't get jobs because you're talented. It's not a meritocracy. And that's the thing that a Notre Dame student has to understand. Because everything about Notre Dame is predicated on meritocracy. If I'm good, I get to move on. I will be successful. If I'm smart, then the world is my oyster. It does not work like that in the entertainment industry. You can be so smart. You can be so talented. You can be on the bottom of the totem pole. Right. Because it's just upside down. It's who you know. It's relationships and somebody giving you a shot and then you killing it and then you get another shot and you build on it. And then lo and behold, unlike our friends who went into medicine, law, accounting, who have had like jobs and houses and cars and security for years. As an artist, how many years did we live, Owen? Like we were just kind of making it. We were just skating by. And then, but the flip side of it is an investment early on. And then granted, we're almost darn near 50 years old, but Owen is a freaking showrunner of a show. Like for all intents and purposes, he's made it. But the climb is longer and the path is not as straight in this industry, because creativity is so subjective, and a lot of people and then you mix in power. Like this is an industry where it's like whoever has the power makes the decisions. It could be the dumbest person on the planet.
I know. I don't think we need to say what that one is.
They could be the meanest. They could be the meanest person on the planet.
Yeah.
Yet your whole livelihood
depends
on that person's mood. Like that's a scary place to be. So it's not for the faint at heart.
Yeah.
And there are times where, I don't know about you, Owen, but there were many days where I felt afraid, but at a certain point you have to figure out, am I going to do this afraid or not?
Yeah.
Because if you're not going to do it, then get a job at a law firm already. Like do what is safe.
Yeah.
But everything that has to do with creativity has to happen in the absence of fear, most likely. But that is not normal because we're fear driven sometimes. So even when fear is present, you have to do it afraid.
You know what?
And I think that's what Owen was saying that he did. Like, I'm scared of my mama finding out, but I'm gonna make these calls. I'm gonna show up for these auditions, and then it's like your gifts will make room for you.
I was so afraid to tell my mom. So when I moved to Chicago, my mom gave me a checkbook, and she goes, I knew it was. I didn't want to be like using it, but I booked a commercial with Grant Hill and Larry Bird.
Nice.
And it was the second commercial I had booked in like 30 days. So I had to join the union. And at that time, the dues were $1,700. And I only had like $700. And it was a nice woman in a suit. And I walk on set, and it was me and like Arthur Agee from Hoop Dreams, and we all talking trash. Hey. And she's like, "Are you Owen Smith?" I'm like, yes, I am. I was like, I'm about to get bugged. Y'all don't know. I was talking trash. She put me in the room. She's like, if you want to step on set, you are. I was like, what? And so I was like, I told her, I just got $700. I got payment plan. She was like, no, you need to be paid in full. I go, what kind of shakedown? And so I called Oliver Gibson. He played football. And I was like, yo, man, can I borrow? I said, I just need $1,000. Can you? And it was such a complicated thing. Because he really genuinely wanted to help me. He was like, all right, I'm a Western Union. Where are you at? And I didn't know how any of that stuff worked. I was just like, I don't know what happened. So I called my mom and said, hey, I got to use this checkbook. And I told her what it was for. And she was surprisingly cool. She goes, use it. I'm running to the bank right now. I'm going to go put the money into this. So I wrote the lady the check. As soon as I got, and it was a national commercial, I made way more than, I paid my mom like right back.
Nice.
And that was on the heels of the Bernie thing. So she started seeing like stuff was like, it was piecing together. But man, I remember still having that. I just didn't want her to worry about me. So it was also that drive. But like to what Christine said, I told you, like the first words I heard when I tried to enter showbiz was, oh, I just didn't know you. like that should tell you everything. And then when people think of you, what memory is it that you want them to have of you, right?
Yeah. Christine has said this, and Owen has said this, whenever people, they want to get out there, but it's just people don't know them. How do you get people to notice you? And I say that because social media is full of, everybody's an artist, everybody's a singer, everybody's an actor, everybody's this. So, Jubba, so like in your position, how do you know who the real ones are, who the right ones are?
Well, that's a really good question, a tough one too, because it goes to what Owen was saying to what am I attracted to? I'm attracted to talent, right? So depending on whether we're talking about a director, an actor, a writer, how do we know? So you have the pages for a writer, you have the resume of the director, you have the resume of the actor. But if you're are you specifically talking about someone new? Yeah, how do we recognize someone breaking in?
Yeah.
Well, there's an old saying, just shoot it, right? So where are you in your career? Is this something we're talking about someone who is an actor, a director, a writer, go and do it. And that's how you get recognized. But the best example of that currently to me, there's a lot of them, but Issa Rae comes to mind, right? Yeah. So she had Awkward Black Girl. No one had to. She didn't have to go and ask anybody for a job. She just went and shot it as best she could. And if you're good, you will be seen. Now, the thing that I was going to add on to, you guys are talking about mentorship and how to deal with that. The other part of that to me, and it goes to what Owen said about his first, I just didn't know you, is networking. Now, I don't know, we're in the midst of a new world with COVID-19, right? But one of the biggest things in our industry is you have to attend everything that you can attend so that people will not say to you, oh, I just didn't know you. And so if you have this fear of contact, if you are shy, these are things that are some of the obstacles for people who do have those, I don't want to call them shortcomings, because they could be a genuine fear, anxiety around that. Those are things that you have to work on, because you have to meet people. You have to go out and do that. And in this new world, for me, it's about creating the content. So if you're a director, go out and direct something. If you got to shoot it on your iPhone, shoot it on your iPhone. Figure it out, get it done, put it up. And I think in this world today, more so than when we were in school, we didn't have all of the tools to do that. We didn't have social media. We didn't have YouTube and IG and TikTok and all that kind of stuff. So we're seeing that. We're seeing, as an executive, every day you're getting an email from an assistant who is sending you what's hot right now. Yeah. And so I still get them every day. Like, oh, wow, this person is on, this new rapper, this new artist, I'm just seeing it. And you start paying attention. So, and as someone who's now mature, I'm gonna use that word, not old. That makes it sound like I'm a lot older, mature. That sounds like a bad man. Wiser. How about experience? Wiser. Now that I'm experienced, I honestly respect what this new generation is doing and the tools that they have. And it's hard because there's so much to choose from. So there was a young man, I don't know if you guys know him at Notre Dame, who did an amazing animation sequence. He got national attention for it. I saw it on the news earlier this year. Do you guys know who I'm talking about? I don't know. He's a student, a black student.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
He did like a superhero animation thing.
Oh, talking about Kendra's son?
Yeah, the son.
That's Kendra's son.
You talking about Kendra's son?
Yeah, I saw that. I follow him.
He's not a student?
No. Kendra went to Notre Dame. That's his son.
Okay.
Yeah, I was I don't think he's a student, but
but he's good though. But look what he did.
Yeah. Right. So that's an example of this guy just used the tools that were available to him to do something. He got recognized, and I don't know if he's going to wind up working at Marvel or not one day. But the fact that he did that alone is how he got exposure. So for people like me who are looking, we're getting it in a million different ways. So I guess to sum it all up, it is no matter what you do, just do it and you will get noticed. Network. Mm-hmm. Say hello to everybody that you meet along the way that's doing what you want to do. Reach out. And to Christine's point, the network is, it's the mentorship part of it all is so crucial. But instead of being a taker, be a giver. And I think, Christine, that was brilliant, because I had to learn that myself, because I was, I wanted a mentor so I could get a job. But that's not the role of the mentorship, is to give you a job. The role of the mentor is to guide you along the path. And believe me, and I have mentees now, and the ones that I communicate with the most are the ones that reach out the most, because it's not my job to call them and check on how they're doing. Their job is to, and then guess what? Now I'm thinking, oh, where are they doing? And now I call. Now because we're, as Christine also said, we're getting pulled in a million different directions, and it doesn't mean that I don't care. I don't have. We're inundated with a million different things, the things of life, the things of work. So just know that it feels like I'm talking in circles, because it's not a black or white answer to it. But so I'm just going to always lean on, just shoot it, just do it, and you will get noticed, no matter whether you have $5 or you have $5,000.
Come on. I want to bring it kind of back full circle here, back to Our Ladies University, and with all the racial injustice that's been happening over time, and especially this past summer. Christine, Owen, Jubba, when we were students, most likely we were the only ones in the classroom. And so we'd have to answer for all of Black society about how Black people feel about such and such. Over the whole summer, I'm sure you've been getting calls from your white colleagues asking, "Are you okay?" and "How can I help? What can I do?" And we have to answer that question. And I'm looking at Lynnette, and I'm thinking, well, maybe she's dealing with the same thing that we've been dealing with as students and as, professionals in the world. What advice do you think you would give to our current students right now who are facing this in the classroom and being probably the only black student in the classroom?
You want to go first? I think it's yeah.
You need to tell these white students.
Like it's not about doing the work for them. I think they got to do the work. I think what you want to do, as a wise quote I saw recently, it said, "Talk to me about the things you can't look up on Google."
Yes.
So if you can't look it up on Google, now we can talk about it, because it's not my role it's not my job to help you unpack what it means to be biased, racist, all those other things. I'm genuinely want to help you. Yeah. But I can't help everybody. You gotta do the homework. You gotta do the work. Because black people can't solve racism.
Right.
But if you go ahead and if you got questions about history, that stuff you can look up. But if you want to talk about the things that aren't in the book, if you want to talk about the things about how I feel, about what my personal history and and addressing those microaggressions and what to avoid and what not to avoid. Those are the things that I think I can help with, is for those friends of yours who may have questions. And you don't got to be a jerk about it, but you can even lead them. I think it's fair to say, hey, you need to Google that. I don't have, because we are already stressed. We're stressed enough. We don't need to be your teacher too. I want to be your friend.
Right.
And I can be your friend, but I can't be your teacher.
Teacher or therapist. Exactly.
Yeah.
Or it's not your job to take care of white people.
Yeah.
Not in this capacity, But I would say this: look at your Notre Dame experience as a starting off foundation for everything else that you're going to experience in life. And just like Jubba, Owen, and I, we're looking back, and first thing Owen was like, "Wow, such a long time ago. Let me think." It's going to be like a blip in the trajectory of your life. It's going to be a blip that's going to serve as a foundation and a launching pad for what you're going to do next and build on. So in many ways, if you look at it like that, you're just getting started. And what's great about it, use it. What's hard about it, use that too, because that's going to be useful to you as you enter this very hard industry that is not always welcoming and loving towards people of color too. So you're actually very well prepared to jump into something that's going to require some sense of fortitude that has to be outside of this experience, So it's a great foundation for where you're headed. Just know, for this industry, it's all about networking and who knows you, So start to build relationships with people that you want to be around and start from there. So it's just a foundation. Keep it moving.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. A great foundation, though. A great foundation in many ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I concur with both Christine and Jubba said. I mean, I think it's tough, man, because it's like, are you going to believe me when I tell you my answer?
Yes.
That's pretty much the narrative of what's going on. No one believes us when we tell them, or they, So that's the most exhausting part. Yeah. So I mean, I would just, if you could, I would try to follow up their question, with questions, like kind of make them, because a lot of times you feel like you have to answer it, but it's like, what are you really trying to ask me, or what do you really, what do you really want to know by asking me that, or,
You ever get the "why can't I say the N-word" thing?
Oh,
I always go, well, why don't you? Why do you want to say it? You know,
yeah, some people say that. I say you could say it, but you can't control what happens after you say it. That's with free speech. It's kind of like, you know, it's this crazy arrogance that people go, you know, freedom of speech. Like I've worked in television, and everything we say on TV has been legally approved. So. When I was writing on Arsenio, we would write something and a dude would run down, you can't say that. And the game was just trying to figure out a way to say it. So this whole freedom of speech fallacy is like, listen, man, you can say whatever you want to say, but if you get punched in the face, then now you know what the line is. You know, that's kind of how it works. So it's like, what's like with Trump right now, they always love to say, did you play the whole recording? Like, y'all stopped it there. Well, after your freedom of speech is you can't control the reaction.
It's an unusual world right now. I feel for students right now who are at that space where they're trying to figure out their career, because the world that we came through, I think our advice will still work, but there are certain obstacles that that kids are coming out of school now that are facing that we aren't familiar with. And I think Christine, who has older children, who are about to embark on that world, you know, what are you telling them, right? Because we just had to worry about, you know, okay, how are we going to make the next dollar? Now it's like we're in a world where every time you leave the house, you're going to run into something. Yeah. You know, it's always been the issue for us as a community, specifically as it relates to the police, but I don't want to go down that road. I'm just talking about the world that has been created in the last 4 years. One, and Aaron and Owen kind of addressed it in terms of, you know, the things that we say that can offend people, and as a media, people that put out media and those images. Now we are unapologetically Black now in terms of, and I'm at a mainstream network, and one of the things that I'm proud of is that specifically here at Viacom CBS is that we are unapologetically addressing the images of Black folks and Latino folks in a way that we've never done before. We're redoing shows saying, okay, how are the images of Black folks being addressed?
That's right.
And so I think we're going to start seeing more and more of that and unapologetically address it. And I don't want to say F your feelings to everybody else, but this is a chance for us to address
the reality.
Right. And in the midst of that, folks who are going to be new to the workforce in the age of COVID, in the age of Black Lives Matter, there are obstacles that you're facing that I feel for you in the sense that we didn't have those same obstacles. I can only address them as an adult in the world and how I'm addressing it and navigating it that way. I think we're the things that Owen and Christina and myself have said are all tools that you should use as you're moving forward, as you're trying to become a professional in this business and in the entertainment business and the arts. But you're going to definitely need that mentor and that person close to you to help you navigate this new world that's even new for us. And we're learning along the way as well. We may have a little more experience in doing and getting to where we got to, but this new world is it's dangerous. It's strange. It's frustrating and angry. All those feelings that we're all feeling right now. And I know the students are feeling the same thing. I want you to think about getting that person in your life to help you address that, because none of us have gotten to where we are alone. We've had to have a support system, some stronger than others, but that building that support system to help you navigate the emotional part of this. We're talking about tools to do the A, B's, and C's, the black and white of it. But there's an emotional part of this experience that I think is going to be more difficult and challenging now than it ever was. So I do feel, and I just want to make sure that people think about getting that team, getting that safety net around you to protect your to protect you physically and emotionally along this way, because it's a different world.
I appreciate you all so much for telling us your truths, because what I plan on doing is having the FTT department to have their students watch this so they can see what comes out of their departments, because you all are so amazing. And I want to end this interview with this quote by this screenwriter that I really love. And the quote says, to get your writing muscles developed, you don't have to be the best writer, but no one is going to know what you're trying to articulate if you don't start. That is by Christine Swanson.
Oh, nice.
I say that because, there are going to be a lot of people who are watching this who have dreams and they have these aspirations to do what you want to do. But in life, you have to take some chances. Sometimes they're calculated. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes you make spontaneous decisions, but sometimes you have to just do it. And if I'll be completely honest with you before we go, like I was telling my mentor, as a matter of fact, I said, every time I do an interview on the show, I'm always afraid. Always, because I don't want it to flop. I said, but if I don't do it, then it won't get done. And sometimes, like, Christine, you said, sometimes you have to do it afraid. Most of the things that I've done in my life, I've been afraid. When I was on BET, I was afraid. When I got to Notre Dame, I was afraid because no one laid out the path for me. And there were no other paths that looked like mine. So I was afraid to take that chance. But I can say that every chance that I have made, I'm grateful to God that he allowed me to get to where I am today. And that goes to anybody who's listening to this, from the FTT department to Mendoza to theology. Take the risk. Like I said, thank you all so much. Everyone who's watching, please make sure that you go follow us on Twitter, @Black_ND, Instagram, @ND, and Facebook, Black@ND. Thank you all so much, and we will see you next week.